look at what you can do to perhaps build buildings where, you know, you can coexist. It's an interesting read, so I would encourage you to look at that, especially as I shared with you last week, as we're working on a 5-year capital outlay plan along with a 10-year plan. So I think if you reach that far out, then I think these other groups that you're looking at might feel like it gives them enough time also to plan with you. So it's a good read. 6.2, this is dealing with the facilities, Custer Elementary Access Control and Conversion Project. Touched on this a little bit with Heath and with Larry. Also sent this out to you guys in an email, but after we met, and I talked with, when I say we, I'm talking about Sarah, Darren, and Kevin, and I. We went through after having principals share some of the concerns that they have, that this really moved to a high priority number for us, because we're talking about the slide card readers in Custer Elementary, where teachers can't get in, teachers can't get out. So we need to get that updated right now. What we presently have is obsolete. So I'm going to ask on 6.2, or the last year 6.2, to approve that. I also want to share with you at this time that one of the things that we are really trying to do with the Custer School District is get everything streamlined. Right now, we're finding out that we have different companies servicing different buildings when it comes to technology, and that's a lot of service charges, right? It's a lot of different licenses. So one thing that Darren and Kevin and ourselves have been working on, so I know over the next 2-3 years, we're going to get that where it needs to be at going forward.
And you're hoping to go with Gray Hat?
Yes, with this one.
I got one question.
Yep.
Did they come and look at this, all that system? Because there's one thing that says assumptions, the current wiring's good.
Yeah.
I just want to know that they looked at it.
Yeah, it's my understanding that he did come out here and looked at it, and when he looked at it, it was when they came out here also to look at panic for our doors and buttons, which hopefully we'll be getting all that done to you through a grant here in the very near future. But what Heath is talking about, and I shared this with Jeff, if you look at these back doors here, you look at where the slide card readers are at, you know, a lot of it depends upon how the wiring goes through. The wiring runs down through the door jambs and out. You know, that bid is not taking into consideration if the wiring is not right, and that would be a difference in the cost. So if that's the case, then it might be a little different.
So is this the same company that just did the CTE? Okay, I thought so. And is the high school different?
They are.
You're convergent?
We go through Golden West still, I think.
Yeah, that's up at the armory that.
Convergence here.
Convergence here.
Be nice to get them all the same.
That's what our
But
plans are.
the system here and the system in CT, even though they're different companies, those can be supported with the same company.
Oh, good.
From my understanding, when I talked to them.
So then, when we redone the Armory building a couple years ago, does that communicate that to them?
That's my understanding.
That's great, yeah. That is that too, okay.
Talking with Tim and my conversation with Dan, it's been, we have contracts for so many years, so we have to work to expire to get a new thing. So we've been watching that and trying to get things going. So I need a motion to approve the pay for this.
I'll make the motion to accept the proposal as written to repair the doors at Custer Elementary.
Sarah, or Larry and Sarah. Thank you. One other thing, this is the whole elementary, not just a couple doors in there, just so you guys understand it's the whole
I
elementary.
think I read it's 32 doors.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure we all know that it's the whole elementary, not just a few doors here and there.
And you said that this is.
Yes, yeah. It's about, what we're talking about when we say it's budgeted, from the numbers that we gave you guys in the proposed budget, we're not adding whatever the 43,440. We're shifting things around in there because there's some items in there that you guys have had, we've had in there for capital outlay now for a few years, and they're not happening, and I don't think there's a need for it. We didn't think there was a need for it, so.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Transportation update. What do you have for that?
I will let Kelly talk to you guys about the changes that they're making at Harlow's.
Sounds great.
Is it still called Harlow's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still are those. We just have a different logo.
Okay.
They matched it with the landmark logo. Right, guys, some of you, I've seen some of you guys I don't know very well. My name's Kelly Whirlinger. I took over, the Custer Hill City sites in mid-February last year. And I've been here for a few meetings, but I kind of wanted to watch. I didn't want to come up and be like, hey, I'm making all these changes. You know, I wanted to be able to show you guys the changes that I've started to make with our facility and our equipment. So you guys could see the work before I actually stood up and talked. We have a lot of accountability going on in our site now. I hold drivers very accountable. So if they have an accident or if you guys call with a complaint or a concern, then it gets addressed right away. So we had a concern about a driver last year, and he called me, and I called some drivers, swapped some drivers around, and there were no more issues after that. We have a new maintenance handling, so we're not doing our own maintenance anymore. And that is just to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with the mechanics and our equipment. I didn't want to come in with the same issue that we were having last year. And some of that was mechanics and some of it was other things. But all of our inspections and our major maintenance, besides like our oil changes and stuff like that, are being done at NCI. And then I know it's being done right and it's being documented appropriately. And it just kind of takes the question out of whether or not the maintenance is good. We've been refreshing our equipment quite a bit this year. One of my goals for last year was to buff and wax all the buses. We have significantly less buses now, but Alex Heinrich, who's a driver of mine, and I have been replacing all of the reflective tape that needs to be replaced. We're taking care of all the decals that need to be refreshed. And I have been buffing and waxing buses for several weeks now. So hopefully, you know, by the beginning of the school year, they look like buses you want to put your kids on, you know, and that I feel like was a huge thing that was missing, because when they're sun faded, they look old, and with a quick buff and some wax on them, they're starting to look pretty decent.
Do you guys set a bar with your buses, either date or mileage on them, where you swap them out with a new bus?
We try to. Part of it is just depending on what equipment is available. I know that last year we got 10 new buses from different sites. We got 5 new buses last year, new. And we got 5 buses from other sites the year before. And especially, you know, if we're in a crunch, we don't necessarily get to pick and choose, but we did get a new bus last year. And all of our buses are fairly recent. I don't think we have one that's over 10 years old right now. I could be wrong with that, but most of the buses are in good shape. Well, they're all in good shape, but most of them are newer. Three of them are new since 2020, including the one that we got brand new last year. So the other thing that we're doing is we're categorizing and identifying students. So I made registration online this year. and I'm categorizing them by routes. And what that allows is for me to be able to hand you guys a list and go, these are your students, this is what bus they're riding in. I know that was an issue last year, we weren't quite sure who was riding what bus and stuff like that. So that's, we do the same thing for me, although they have route finders, so it's a little easier. But I'm still waiting on some registrations. I started, routes are completed with the information that I have. So all of the registrations that I have received, routes are written for those. I will be here for open house and continuing to register students. And then I will have 5 days to get all of those guys with their bus tags and their seating arrangement tags and get them on the spreadsheet for you guys. The other thing that we're doing is we're gonna have newer drivers this year. One thing we did in Sturgis was more for the elementary kids. We put tags on their backpacks that had emergency phone numbers and who they were, in case there's a medical emergency. So this year what I did was I put names and I put what bus they go on, where their stop is, and then emergency numbers on those tags. And that'll kind of help teachers get their kids where they're supposed to go for the first day of school. They also are color coded as well. And just more district accessibility. Dr. Fredericks and I have had several conversations about things that he would like to see from us in addition to the student lists and the stop lists and things like that. We talked about driver phone numbers and working together to make sure that the school year starts off well and in conjunction with each other. Like I said, all maintenance changes, all annual inspections are being done at NCI. Most of our minor maintenance will be performed at NCI aside from oil changes and some of our other preventative maintenance. If you look on slide 4, that's the same bus. We went through, I waxed it, I buffed it, we replaced all the decals that needed to be replaced on it. So it doesn't look dingy and it doesn't look sad. To me, that's a bus that I would be proud to put my kids on, and that's what I want you guys to do too. Takes about 2 days to buff and wax a bus, but it's definitely worth it. And it keeps the equipment in better condition too. A lot of the buses were rusty last year, so I'm fixing some of the rust on some of the buses too. But if they're cleaned properly and you take care of the paint coats and stuff like that, it tends to work a little better. We're gonna start doing weekly checks. So once a week, every bus is coming back to the shop. Whether I have the driver do it or I have Alex is fantastic. He's done a lot of work this summer and he's more than happy to drive buses back and forth to the shop. They'll get washed. They will get cleaned out, wiped down. I'm gonna crawl under them, make sure nothing on the undercarriage is falling apart or, broken, leaking, things like that. That's why we have a spare bus, so it needs maintenance. The other benefit is you guys don't have school on Fridays, so I can call, as long as it's not an immediate out of service, I can call and be like, hey, I'm concerned about this, can I get it in on Friday, have you guys check it out? So this is going to give us a better preventative maintenance scheduling. If you take care of your preventative maintenance on time, your equipment works better. We will have a quicker observance of issues if I'm checking them every week. Then issues will get caught faster. So we'll be able to bring attention to that. The buses will be cleaner and kept up better. And like I said, that'll also help with the appearance of serving wash once a week. Now, if it's 30 degrees outside, we're probably not gonna wash them. We'll probably wait till the next, nice day to get them washed. But if the mirrors, or if the windows, mirrors, and lights are dirty, then we'll have to figure out how to get that taken care of because that's definitely a safety issue. And it also provides an opportunity for individual coaching. So if I walk through and see that they missed something on their pre-trip that they didn't mark off, that's a coaching opportunity. Because ultimately your DVIRs, which is the book that you have to fill out every day when you get into a commercial motorized vehicle, it's the driver's responsibility to say, hey, this is a problem, I need it fixed. So if we walk through and I check their last week of DVIRs and I see something, it's not gonna be a, hey, you're in trouble, but hey, I noticed you missed this. You know, that's something we need to work on. So I think with that kind of coaching and better eyes on the equipment, we'll have a lot better luck this year. Cleaning expectations, like I said, buses are to be washed and wiped down once a week unless the weather is not permitting. Buses should be washed as necessary throughout the week if needed, especially if the lights or windows are obscured with mud. Buses should be picked up and swept daily, weather permitting, because sometimes that mud doesn't work with a broom so well, so you have to let it dry out and then sweep it in between, like before your PM route instead of in your AM route. And if you guys have any, if you guys see something that isn't meeting that standard, you need to know. So you guys are more than welcome to reach out at me at any time. If someone shows up 4 days in a row with a dirty bus and I don't happen to catch it, then just give me a call and be like, hey, I saw a bus, and I can go out to the yard and make sure. I will be out to the yard quite frequently though, so I hope that that is not an issue. We'll be doing evaluations, and route evaluations and things like that for the first month pretty consistently. Just to make sure that they know what they know what the route is, they're not missing kids, if they have any questions. Pass Creek has 2 3-point turns on it, so I'll be riding that one quite a bit too, just until they get comfortable. I don't want to send them out and have an accident. We do have stricter accident procedures also. This isn't in here, but I thought I'd mention it. If there is an accident, then they will be pulled off and retrained. If there is a concern, I'm big on retraining, because then at least I brought them in, you guys know that the issue has been talked about, we've done, overviewed the concerns. We have a fantastic trainer, Steve, and he is good. And then we also have online videos through School Bus Inc. through vector training, and we've had a lot of success with those. We have upped our safety standards as far as, always backing with the spotter. If there's a spotter available, sometimes when you have night trips and stuff like that, that's not always the case. But things to help prevent the accidents, so we don't have buses that are down. And the other changes, things like I mentioned before, bus tags for the backpacks, and then I also want to get drivers some lanyards with some name tags on them too. They probably aren't going to be super fancy, but at least it'll help. You have a picture and a name, and then the RLO's logo, but at least you know who you're talking to when they're on route. The sorted list of registered students, and then driver information for the school. So if I happen to be on a route and you guys can't get a hold of me, or you guys would just like to quickly get a hold of a specific driver, you'll have access to be able to do that. And then Dr. Frederick and I have also talked about evacuation drills, and we're still trying to nail those down, but they do need to be done once a semester, and then we're not doing sports, but they should be done once with every sports team also. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, my cell phone number is at the bottom of the screen. So you're welcome to give me a call anytime. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a question. I'm trying to remember, did we ever put cameras in the buses, or was it just a discussion of having them in there?
No, they are in there.
They are.
They are.
And they all operate.
The only bus that doesn't have a camera is the white bus, and that's because it's got a different panel on it. And it was a fuse box that he had never worked with. But all of the buses, including the spare bus, do have cameras.
But all the route buses do have a camera.
Absolutely, yes. I
Is
think
there
that-
audio with them then?
Yes, sir.
And then they do work?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know there's been issues in the past with the audio.
Okay. Well, and I can definitely this week go through and double check. We're gonna be going through, making sure all the paperwork's correct, all of that stuff. So what I can do is turn on the key. It'll turn, if you turn it on auxiliary, the cameras automatically turn on. And so we can go through, do our paperwork, bus checks. I can pull that cartridge and then check it on the computer. If not, then I can get it. I do have a spare cartridge as well. So if there's one that's not working, I can always reach out to somebody who has more. But I think it's spares.
And another question I have, do you guys have a policy if there's issues with behavior, something with certain students? Is that, should you reach out to each building principal to report that or
So what
address
we
it?
We do work with the schools on that. What we usually do is, we try a few things first. We'll do, move seats, have a talk, in whatever order that is necessary. If it's little, they might be like, hey, I really need you to not do that. And then the next time it's a seat move. If moving seats doesn't work, up front in our little reserved area, then we'll fill out an incident report. Those incident reports get sent to me. I send them to the principals, and then it gets carried out from there. We go by the district's disciplinary standards, so we don't, like, my drivers can't be like, hey, I'm gonna kick you off the bus. And I really hate it when they see that. Sometimes it does happen, sometimes they get frustrated, but they are coached on the fact that they can't do that. And then if I hear about one of them doing it, then we go to my office and we have a conversation, because that's, I will work with these two on that, but ultimately it's up to the district's discretion on how those behavioral issues are handled. Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you very much.
I got one real quick.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
No,
The bus that runs from here back, I've asked numerous years, did we ever put any automatic chains on any of them yet?
I have not heard that request, but I am new. So I can bring it up to my supervisor and see. I know the road's kind of slick right now, so that was a concern that Dr. Frederick and I had talked about last time. I don't know if we can, I might be able to chain it. I don't know if it'll be automatic chains. So automatic would be better, obviously. But if anything, I can at least get some chains for those tires and put them on.
Well, I mean, it's rare that we need them, but I mean, it's just the garbage trucks, the delivery trucks, they all have them, and I've asked for 10 years.
It's been a long time. we've been
And
asking.
anyway, and I know you're new, I just wondered if any of them ever got upgraded to that point.
No, but I can
Okay.
definitely bring it up as a concern, because that's a fair concern. So
Sure.
let me talk to Francis
Good.
about that and see what we can do.
Okay. All right, that's it, sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Anything else to add?
No, I just want to let you guys know that Kelly's been great to work with. We've had a number of meetings to discuss a lot of different things with our transportation, but the one thing that I'm most excited about is talking about safety. Kelly knows how important that is to our district right now, and even like with identification codes and stuff for our little ones getting on and off of buses, so they don't end up in Hermosa when they're supposed to go here or there or whatever. I think that's a great change, and we appreciate that, so.
We're covering our safety portion on Thursday here at the school, so if you guys would like to come in and see. I also have the PowerPoint meeting, so I can go over that to you guys too, and just kind of look at what we're covering here.
Here at the school, is in Hermosa or in Custer?
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Move on to 7, monthly cash flow report. Sarah?
Yes. The cash flow report has been updated to reflect real numbers of where things are sitting. I remember we talked about last month that with the change of the investments that we had, that it was skewing some of the reporting, but I went in today. I did not get it done over the weekend, but I did go in today, so the report that's in there now is accurate. Fund balances are correct. It's nice to be able to see the exact amount of money we do have in our checking and savings and how much we've moved into that premium savings account at RBC. So those numbers have all been updated for you. I did get the annual report submitted on June 30th. I have not heard back from the state yet as to how they feel about my annual report, but at least they have it all. And that was able to let me get as much revenue and be able to report that honestly to you. So one of the attachments in there is the FY26 revenue summary. So this is where we ended our FY26 fiscal year. Not every category is included. So if you do the math, it's not going to math. But these are the areas where we brought in a little bit more money than we thought we were going to. So I did want you to be able to see that. That is going to be going into our reserve fund, which is going to help offset some of the balance that we do need to pay from reserves in our proposed budget. We met with our audit team today. We had a Teams call with them. We've been able to provide them with over half of the information that they're going to need. So they've already started looking at that. They had some good questions for us today. They will not do their on-site visit until November, which is when they've done it the last couple of years, and then they'll work through everything and it probably present to you in February or March. And as you look at the attachment with the budget updates, that purple column is the column that's changing. That is where we are seeing new things coming in. We have seen some increases in revenue. When we see increases in revenue, it does increase our spending as well. So our expenditure numbers do grow. When we did the original budget, I really wasn't sure what our IDA grant was going to look like. It was quite a bit higher than we thought. So that's why we're seeing the increase in sped. We can see the numbers that have been put in for our property liability. So that is really the only big increases that we've had. We are going to see another $10,000 change. We were just notified of another grant that we will receive from Black Hills State University for dual credit courses, and that will be a $10,000 increase in our expenditures, but it will also be a $10,000 increase to our revenue. So we will anticipate seeing that next month as we finalize everything and get ready to adopt our budget. You had a food service.
Do they have any questions?
I don't know. I'm just put it out there first. You have questions for me about that? Great, thank you.
One question I got, Sarah, is one attachment in the middle of the custodial balances. Are all them actually active, or are they just sitting there, a lot of them?
That's one that I'm going to address. The custodial balances are current balances, and the majority of them are active. There's a couple that say open, and that's they don't have an advisor and or they haven't had enough participation to run in the last year or two. For instance, Destination Imagination and Special Olympics. So they're dormant, but the money is there for the students to use. And Dr. Frederick is planning a meeting with all of the advisors of those accounts next week or in the coming weeks to review the expectations and the procedures that need to be in place moving forward, so everyone is on the same page.
And these are updated balances. We pulled these last week. So this is what every one of these accounts has at the moment. I don't think there's been a lot of in or out over the weekend. Maybe a couple of those on Thursday.
Choir council is in the negative.
They just went on a trip, a summer trip, and band and choir are together. And so they potentially have a negative, but as you can see, it's $300 and something. But when they have all of their receipts turned in, and it might equal out to zero, but if not, they will bring it back into the positive very soon.
Any other questions?
Do you want to talk about the food service increase?
Yes, if anybody has questions on this. Okay, the other item on there, as you can see, is the amended meal pricing approval. The state did approve our school nutrition program application for this coming school year. With the adult lunch price increase, they said it needed per guidelines to be 9 cents more, so I increased it 10 cents to make it an even $5.35. So we probably need to approve that.
So then 10 cents based on feedback from the state.
Yes, per their guidelines, it had to be a minimum of 534, and so for round number purposes, I increased it to 535.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the meal pricing changes.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Any questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And we'll move on to 7.2, propane bids. You care?
Dr. Frederick, got to keep you guessing.
I'm just gonna go through a couple things here that Kevin's had a migraine headache tonight, so him and I visited a little bit about a couple items here, so I want to make sure I should share this with you, so I'll jump on the propane right now. But the propane bids where you're at, you have a bid from McGass for $1.29 per gallon. The other bids that came in were from AmeriGas at $1.37, Nelson's Oil and Gas at $1.49, and I believe Stern Oil Company at, I think it was $1.40. So Kevin also mentioned to me when we visited that he's got a good working relationship with McGass, and with them coming in, he would highly recommend that we would approve pre-buying of 50,000 gallons of propane. So
With that, and I know I've probably asked this in the past, but being for the new contract year, if we don't go through all 50,000 gallons because we have to pre-buy, and it's a nice winter, and we have 15,000 gallons left, they gonna let us roll that to the following year, or do we just eat that?
No, they let us use that to the following year. And on the flip side of that, if we, like this year, we had said we wanted 45,000, we used more than that, and they honored that original price. They did not charge us market rate. They gave us the original price. So we do have a positive working relationship with them right now.
And with that being said, our winters have been fairly stable since this building's come online, because we're kind of the one that uses it the most. What are we getting to where we kind of know what it's taken for a full year at this building?
Mhm.
I mean, like, kind of getting things narrowed down a little bit. And what is that, you know?
I can look while we are talking. I have a spreadsheet that says exactly
Okay.
how much I want to use.
I just was curious if we're using, on average, 45 or 55,000 gallons a year.
For
over the
just
last
Hermosa.
4 years since we've been here, 5 years.
I'm looking for you.
I just was curious.
One thing I noticed, Tim, on this bid proposal, the gas only filled out one line item.
yeah, but when I talked to Kevin about that, Kevin said he had talked to them, and that $1.29
Mhm.
is good even beyond the 50,000 gallons. So, and I think we're gonna use more than 50,000 gallons. Remember, we did not have the CTE building operating last year, for the full winter, so,
So we're taking 50, even though he only asked the price on 40 and 45.
yeah.
And then he had various, I didn't understand the top one, but 30 to 45,000, a range,
Right.
the others were
Yeah.
fixed. And
Okay.
Any other questions?
Was 50 enough?
Well, they said they don't ever pass.
No longer past that, or it's at that same price.
I do not think it will be enough. I do think we'll use more. We used over 46,000 last year, and we only had the CTE from January on when we were paying for it, so I do think we'll use more than that. But again, Nick Gas will honor that we are paying that low price right now, even though our contract is ended, and we've already used that 40,000. He's very specific, he'd rather have it set up that way. Last year, based on this quick spreadsheet, Hermosa used just under 18,000 gallons of propane. And I can go back and do the research flash. If you guys want me to send that out, I can do that for you as well.
Just
Is
curious.
our only other propane at the CTE then?
No, all of the little tanks that we have throughout the district are now all Nick Gas too. So there's some in the football field, there's some, mostly over in the football field in 9th Street area. There's a couple over there, little small ones. Community Action has a propane tank that we purchased. They reimburse us for that. That's at the armory. So that's not a true cost for us, but that is.
So they're using more up at the football field than the Hermosa school is? We only use 18,000 here?
No.
So then how do we go through 50,000 gallons
Yeah.
on only half a year? at CTE?
Yeah, I mean, your spreadsheet.
I've got the CTE was about 15,000. Hermosa was about 18,000. 9th Street was about 4,300 and the football field was about 8,000. Community Action was over 1,000. And there's a couple numbers that they have that I don't have. So my total is 44,116 and theirs is a little higher than that. And I've got to get the sheet from them and figure out what little piece I'm missing.
Okay.
But I'm
That
confident.
for
Yeah, what do we do at the football field?
heat in the locker room?
Probably, we don't want
We
things
got a
to
leak.
freeze over there.
And
We
it
can ask
seems odd
Kevin to
that
look
the
into that.
CTE for the 5 months we used it burned almost as much as Hermosa because it's 4 times the square footage here.
Right.
Well,
They're leaving the doors open during the day?
Very possible. And there's two tanks over there too, I think. Like there are almost.
And they started them at 0. Is there anything in them? I mean, is that what we use or that's what we bought for the building?
This is what we use. These are the refills that they charge us for.
CTE, boiler,
just the boiler?
boiler to make repair units. But the boiler's here twice the size. So this should be burned. That's,
CTE
something
does use
seems
a lot.
odd with that.
They're not to. Frosted makes the kids stay cool. Frosted like turning above 65.
They're all wearing snow pants in here. They've got a phone call about this one being cold.
Were they heating that with it during construction?
Well, that shouldn't be taken out.
No, they didn't start the boiler until it was complete.
It should have been on contingency.
Because they're also supposed to, when it was done being built, it was up to the contractor to fill the tanks before being turned over, just like Hermosa was.
Just want to look at this year.
It just, with that much usage, it worries me, do we have a leak at the tanker vaporizer, because that just doesn't seem right. Something that Kevin should look into.
Yeah, that's something we have to
Yeah, I-
follow up on. We can't
Yeah,
solve that right now.
I have your notes, so I will follow up with Kevin on that with some of our concerns with that going forward. So it sounds good. Kevin's a little attitude right now. Some couple other things with facilities. Okay, so the other thing I just want to mention, because these are things that are going on. The kitchen at the high school, the backsplash and stuff is supposed to be getting installed yet this week. We're pretty much at the end with Western States. If they don't get back to us real soon about the drop sprinkler heads, then we're going to move on to rapid fire to get that taken care of. The equipment for the kitchen remodel should all be here hopefully this coming week. And then they said that they can come in there and they can get that knocked out in a hurry. And then 21 Electric will come in and once all the sprinkler system and ceiling's done, and do what they need to do going forward. So that is all in the process. Also, we're still having some issues with our sprinkler system at the high school CTE building. And they're supposed to be coming in, I think, yet this week to make some changes with the,
The outside.
with that. What's that?
Outside sprinklers.
Outside sprinkler system, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's been kind of,
Are you just waiting on the heads in there from Western?
yes, drop sprinkler heads.
They haven't put the drops on either, I'll take back.
I'm messaging them right now.
Oh, you might have looked at it.
Just need to build it out.
Okay, I need a motion to approve propane bid
Motion to approve the propane bid with gas at $1.21
for 50,000 gallons.
for 50,000.
Anybody second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Move on to policy updates. Review of open meeting laws. Dr. Frederick.
Yeah, I know I'm supposed to, the recommendation is that this is supposed to last 5 minutes. I timed myself and I think I got down to 2. So, I really do think this is important though. I think it's important that we go through this, obviously in July or in the August board meeting, but just as some reminders as far as what open meeting laws are all about. Remember that South Dakota open meeting laws ensure that the public has access to public affairs and encourages community participation. It's important to understand that people are always watching. I'm talking about watching, whether it be board members, county commissioners, whoever it might be. But it's important that we recognize what a quorum looks like. The one thing I think that's interesting in looking through this at what a quorum is, it used to be like if you saw in this case, if you had 4 board members gathered together and you're talking, all of a sudden people were like put in panic mode, right? But you have to realize with this, I think that this is where again, be concerned about perception, but remember that it's when the 4 board members, 5 board members are sitting there discussing what business? School business, and then trying to make decisions. That is a big no-no, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't gather at a football game and sit and visit and, watch our kids participate and stuff like that. One of the things that's always come up is emails. Even like when I send out my weekly emails, I appreciate the fact that if they're weekly or bi-weekly, whatever it looks like with information, I always ask if you have questions, who do you respond to? Me, not to the group, right? It's not a group discussion. This is when you bring it back directly to me. And I think that's something that's just a good reminder. Some other things is that we have a 24-hour rule on agenda items. This has to be posted. It says in the law it has to be posted like in the principal's office. Ours has to be posted on our website, it has to be posted on our administration office. We need to post it wherever we can so people can see it. But it does not mean that you cannot change that agenda. You can change the agenda. It's not recommended, but it has to happen prior at the beginning of our board meeting, like Jeff does. What can't happen is you can't change it down the line, right? After it's been proposed, then then the changes happen down the line. If it's not an action item, it's not an action item, right? Even though we might want to take action on it. So that's something just to remember about amending the agenda. Meeting materials, it's important that we give you guys as much information and the public as much information as possible through our website. But at times we do have to give handouts. We just have to make sure that those handouts are available to the public and obviously to the paper as well. For example, if you see like right now, Esther's not here. So one of the things I will do for Esther tomorrow is any handouts that we're giving tonight. She'll receive them tomorrow. She can pull the rest of them up off the website. Public participation recording. There's some neat things about this. Obviously, every school board has to have that period at the beginning reserved for public comment. But school districts do hold it in our cards to say how long that's going to be for. It's also important to recognize that meetings that are held just for executive session, you do not have to have public comment. Can you? Yes. But think about why you're going into executive session. Might not be always the best idea to do that. Can public meetings be recorded? We talked about that at the beginning. We're getting this up and going. They can be recorded, right? And people that want to record it outside can obviously record it. Some things about executive session. One of the things that is a strong suggestion is that when we go into executive session, is that you state why you're going into executive session. It's like tonight, when the motion is made, it should be noted it's for personnel, right? Or is it for contract? Is it for negotiations, whatever it might be. Know also why you can go into executive session: personnel matters, student discipline, eligibility, consulting with legal counsel, litigation, contracts, labor negotiations, and now the new one that's been added on the last few years is dealing with safety, security in school systems. And then last thing, just to note with executive sessions is that when you're in executive session, it's important to know that there is no counting votes in executive session. Only thing that has to happen outside of executive session. That's when a motion has to be made. And then it's also important that to understand for penalties, a violation of open meetings or public records law is a class 2 misdemeanor. Board liability, any official action or contract approved during an illegal closed session can be declared null and void. Furthermore, board members could be held personally liable and will be required to repay public funds spent under a void contract. And the people that enforce this is basically your local state's attorney, and they work through the South Dakota Open Meetings Commission. Questions? Is that close enough to 5 minutes? Okay.
You did great.
Okay, we're good then.
I didn't have to do it, so you did great. Okay, nothing to approve or do anything there, it's just a review, and that is legislation from this last year that we have to do that, correct? Every year now?
Sure.
Move on to 8.2, second readings of policies that the wording was updated for legislation, from this legislation. We had them all last month. And I highlighted the changes, so I just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Order made. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Good, we'll move on to 9, curriculum and instruction. Educator in service, August 18th to the 20th. You got more to say on that, or?
Just, I guess I would like just to encourage you. I know this is a super busy time of year for everybody. But I really want to encourage you to come if you can at 8. I think it's scheduled at 8:10. And listen to Mr. Terry Nevilleset talk. Terry is probably one of the most well-respected leaders in education. He's retired now and he goes around and gives motivational talks. But one of the things that his whole presentation is to the teachers will be about is developing instruction that's centered around the students. And I know that we've heard him talk several times, and every time that you listen to this guy talk, you learn something new about education, leadership, So if you have an opportunity to come in and watch that, the other thing I think it's gonna be fun this year during our head camp. I'll let the principals board them on day 1 and 2, with all the stuff that they have to get through, and they have to listen to me talk about policy as well. But I think our head camp's gonna be fun, and I really was serious that if you would like to host like a session as a board member to teach our teachers something different, you are more than welcome to send me your topic, and I will add it to the session board. And I think it'd be great for you to do something like that with our educators. I mean, we're all over the place on different topics, from instructional strategies to managing AI. We have a lot of, I think, obviously concerns about our new reading curriculum, so we're going to create some work groups within the teachers that maybe are at different levels. We have a person that wants to talk about maintenance of bicycles. So looking after our wellness for our teachers and stuff. So open to ideas. Did you look at the slide? If you look at the slide on the very last page of it, if I can get there, I think it's the last page. It has all the different topics up to this point, preliminary topics. So, any questions with that?
This 810, that was on the 20th? 18th?
The, what, 20th? 20th is the Terry Neville Center Day.
Any questions? Okay. Move on to 9.2, ACT cut scores. Mr. Casey, Jim was talking
Whoever would
about.
like to, do you guys want to talk about this?
Just if you look at them, they put together a group of educators to go through and look at the scores that other states have used. I don't think they looked at our scores in particular when they went through those. And so they kept them relatively similar to some of our surrounding states. So below basic is less than 15 or less than 16, depending on what area you're in. And basic would be 15 or 16 again, math. In science or 16, ELA and reading are 15. Proficiencies in 19 in ELA, 21 in math, 21 in science. And to get an advanced score, you've got to have 26 in all areas to get that. So some of you may have taken the ACT and might see where you would stack up based on where your scores were at on that. You know, it seems like that's pretty typical of where they're at, 19 and 21. Those are pretty healthy scores. I'm not gonna lie to you, 21's pretty healthy for a proficient score, but our overall score was 19.7, so we'll see kind of where we stack up. They've been changing some things, and we're waiting to get kind of those final results from them and see sort of what our numbers look like, but I think our kids did pretty well for the first time taking it, and so from there, but everyone in the state's kind of under that same umbrella. So kind of see how it all shakes out.
One thing I'd like to add though, if you have time, I would encourage you to look at that first document that shows the cut scores for South Dakota, and spend some time just reading through the groups that were part of this process. You had educator's recommendation, you had technical advisory group, and then you had post-secondary input, and then you had percentage of students achieving advanced, proficient, basic, or below basic levels off the 2026 ACT scores. So there's 4 different things that they looked at, and then obviously this letter is from Dr. Graves. And one of the things that he talked about is high standards, right? High expectations. So for our kids, the state of South Dakota, because there's a lot of concern right now, is that we have kids that have high GPAs, in their school systems and they're going on to higher education and they're having to take what courses, remedial courses when they get there. And they're trying to address that with these ACT scores as well. That's why they're gonna be at a higher level. I don't think it's gonna change our GPAs and stuff though, unless we make that more difficult, so. All right,
No, we have had those conversations to where, you know, we have students with high GPAs and our scores aren't maybe showing that, and we're talking about GPAs being inflated, which in some classes, we've looked at that and we've kind of adjusted how we do some grading, because it doesn't make sense to have 75, 80% of your kids having A's and B's when 50% of your kids are testing proficient. It just doesn't add up for me, so. We have changed some of our grading, particularly in math, a little bit to make it so that it actually does show what the student is capable of doing, as opposed to an inflated grade based on homework scores. That unfortunately now, almost everything that known as homework can be ChatGPT or any AI type area, and you can get the answers to it, just snap your fingers. So, we're working on that. It's kind of an ever-changing slope, and that's probably the next thing I think on your list here is AI stuff. And so we'll definitely keep working on it, and it's not going to go away, that's for sure.
Any questions on the ACTs? Board? Okay. Thank you, Toby. 9.3, developing our AI strategy, professional reads. I think we go along with it, we'll talk about it.
well, I am not going through those professional reads with you. Okay, I would just really, again, encourage you to take 5, 10 minutes, maybe a couple times throughout the week to read into them. I think each one of those is very interesting to look at. The one thing that you have to look at with AI, there is a very negative, right? A very bad side of AI. There's no doubt about that. But then there's also a really positive side to AI as far as how much more efficient, how much more deeper that you can learn things. And then you still have to figure out how to develop cognitively to be able to dive deeper into it, critical thinking. And that's one of the big concerns that when we attended, Ron and I attended an AI workshop in Rapid City. They did a great job of informing us that one of the things that you have to do as a school system is that you need to know where everyone is at with AI. And so we went through this process, and the process that we went through, and I welcome any of you to look at this. It's in Rhonda's handwriting, so it's readable, not mine. But they talk about what's going to be your commitment. So as a school board, what is going to be our commitment? Well, you guys as school board members, your commitment is also going to be based off of what? The public's view of AI. So we're going to have to work really hard at making sure that we are getting out there, we're having meetings with our parents, with our patrons, and then trying to mesh those ideas along with our educators. Toby talked about some of the issues that we have in the classrooms with it. But then how do we also take AI and give our kids the opportunities to grow with it? And that's a key, because everybody in here, all of our jobs are going to be around AI at some point in time, if they're not already. And one of the things that's really scary out there right now is there are school systems that are saying, you know, we're not going to bring AI into our schools, and parents are kind of upset about it because they're concerned now if their kid is going into higher education, where are their kids going to be at when they go?
Way behind.
Right? So those are some things that we have to look at, some guiding principles. We have to look at how it affects us district-wide, building level-wise, staff level-wise, and student level. One of the things that Sioux Falls has already worked on, and I think you guys, and I'll share this out with you at some point in time, but they have a model where it shows like how much use high school kids should have with AI, how much there should be for middle school kids, and how you get down to like I think it was down to 8-year-olds down, how much AI should they get?
And also like what's appropriate for an 8-year-old, what type of AI?
Right, yeah. So that's a little bit of this, and one of the things that we've already put together, and it's something we're gonna share out at our administration meetings, and then obviously open up the door during our ed camp, is we're gonna put a timeline together to make sure that we have this in place. You really have to develop your practices and your process before a policy. If you have a policy in play and nobody understands the policy, then you're gonna be lost. So those are gonna be some of our first action steps. One of the things that they did talk about, and I've already shared this out with our principals, and I shared it with you guys, we do need to come up with things to put into our handbooks, narrative in our handbooks that addresses AI deepfake issues in our district. And remember that for the audience here, AI deepfake is basically when you take any type of digital picture and you manipulate the content so it's something that's very inappropriate, right? But when you set up these in your handbooks, one of the big things that you have to do is it's not just for the person that creates it, but it's also has consequences for the people that also share it. Because that's the only way you're going to eliminate it. So those are some things that we'll be working on in the next few weeks with AI. Any questions with that? I know our principals and stuff also went to some AI workshops at the ASBST conference, so I think we'll be able to pull a lot of this stuff together in the coming weeks.
Questions, board? Thank you for providing all the information. Move on to 9.4. Discuss memorandum of understanding for RISE. Work. Do you have background on this?
Yeah, just want to share out that we had a meeting a couple weeks ago with the folks from RISE, and it was really I thought it was a high level meeting. I was impressed with the things that they have for vision. Obviously, our community has been through some tough times over the last few weeks, actually last month. And I think that there's things that we as a school district working with RISE can offer our students throughout the school year to hopefully help them and their families, not just the kids, but also their families, dealing with some of the issues that they have with addiction and other things, dealing with substance abuse. So we do want to work. I know in talking with Danielle and Julie, we want to also work on making sure that we're setting up some time within our schedules that is consistent. The one thing with any programs like this is that if you just hit and miss, you're missing, right? And so we need to work to make sure that we have things like they talked about a couple of years ago. I think it was Frosty had time scheduled throughout the day or throughout the week where this was always happening with a certain group of kids. You know, we want to look at being able to collect data. If it's hit and miss, your data is worthless, right? But if it's consistent, that we watch a group of kids go through that have had this type of training that's offered, then typically we can see whether or not the programs are working with our kids and with our families. So that's what this MOU is really all about. It just goes through there and it explains what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are going forward. Questions?
It says that they're gonna contract with a teacher that's been, or staff member that's been under us, so she's no longer gonna be under us, she's gonna be under RISE.
Danielle Meyer will be the teacher.
Yeah.
That's
But is she no longer gonna be our employee? She's gonna be Ryan, and we're contracting with Ryan?
And we're contracting with Rise, that's what this next contract is. Can I answer it?
So she'll be paid two different ways this year. Rise will cover $20,000 that is proposing to cover $20,000 of her salary. And there is a United Way grant for $14,000 for the other part of her salary, which is paid to the school. The school will pay to her. So we will be the go-between for that. So she will still be a contracted employee for us, getting paid through Rise and through United Way.
But her salary that we had in our budget this year was like 25-ish thousand.
Correct, and that did decrease. I thought that we were gonna pay the Rise portion. I thought that money was gonna come through the school, and my understanding now is that it is not. It is gonna be direct, and we will be left out of that piece. We will just facilitate the $14,000 piece from United Way.
Thank you, sir.
So when things are split, who does she actually answer to?
She will have two different people to answer to in those two things. At school, she'll be responsible to the school, to what the school needs, but if she has questions about her pay, then she'll have two different people to speak with.
So part of her salary is a grant we're receiving and paying her. You still gotta pay her like a regular employee with taxes and.
No, she's a contracted employee, so we
None?
do not do that. It's just a dollar amount a month. No benefits associated with it.
So one of the things I just want to address real quick though, with what Travis is talking about, that's why within this MOU, if you read through it, it has a curriculum in it. The curriculums that are going to be used are in this. When she is working in the school system, she is definitely under the guidance of whether it be the Hermosa school principal or the junior high school principal. They're definitely underneath that guidance here. And the curriculums are spelled out.
So I guess we need a motion to approve the memo. MOU for Rise. And then the next one is the contract.
I got one question for you. So just this year, Rise is paying her $20,000?
This is the first year they have offered to do that.
Okay, because it says in there that they'll manage the funding and support their services that are being with upon available funding. So they might be, this year she can do it, they can do it, and maybe not next year.
Yeah, and in my meeting with there's 4 people there. This is also in Rapid City, and there is plenty of funds. So, yeah.
I'm just saying, this is a year to year, not.
Yeah.
We're still collecting the data so we can decide if it's effective.
I'll make a motion to approve the Rise MOU and the contract.
I'll second.
You guys are doing better. Any discussion?
I'm quite just reading through some of this information. They can be referred to this program by a whole list of options, so they may get referred into this and parents don't even know about it.
Your parents are gonna know on a referral.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, if you have, a school system like ours, it could be you go from a teacher having a conversation with a kid to the principal. And obviously, we're gonna look at all of our resources that we have as a school system, try to figure out what's gonna be best. And part of those resources is also reaching out to who? The parents, because the parents also can help shed some light on it.
Any other questions or discussion? Having a motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Move on to 9.6. This is informational from the museum board presentation.
Good evening. I'm Nina Nielsen. I'm now the city liaison to the school board. I'm going to try to attend all the meetings, but I'm here to introduce Ken Swanson, who is the museum president, and he wants to talk to you about Constitution Day and the time capsule.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you for letting me come here and present this. Actually, I'm presenting the Constitution Bee idea on behalf of our museum director, 1881 Courthouse Museum Director, Dr. Deborah Hannigan. This is her idea, her plan, and she's done a very good job with this on a variety of things, including this one, putting together. She's very detail oriented. What we'd like to do is propose all the kids in Custer County are welcome to attend this and be a part of Constitution Bee on Friday, school September 18th, at 1881 Courthouse Museum. Our museum opens up at about 10 o'clock. Kids are encouraged with their parents to check in at 10:30 to 10:45. So they can come early if they wish. We'd like them to, they don't have to pre-register, that isn't necessary, but we'd like them to, if we can, if anybody wants to do that, it'll be a little bit helpful, but the event will actually start at 11 o'clock. Deborah, our museum director, will do a quick intro, introduction. There's no phones. Parents can't give hints. Kids can't call or answer. And they're gonna work. There'll be some snacks, probably coffee, cookies, and something small snacks. We're proposing at this point 2 age groups between 8 and 11 years old, and then between 12 and 15 years old. Each kid will get a name tag. Each participant, every kid receives a pocket constitution after the competition. We have a whole bunch of those. There will also be grand prizes for the winner in each group. It can be set up in several different ways, depending on the number of kids that come home and participate. So kids are encouraged to come in costume. Members of our staff will be in costume for the period. I've been asked to wear a porter wig. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll see. I'm not completely against it. But just mostly we just want to make sure that everybody knows about this and that the kids are encouraged to come. So if you want to get that out to your kids, you can certainly contact our museum or myself. Dinah said, I'm president of the Historical Society, so we're involved in a whole bunch of different things, and this is one of them. She spearheads a lot of stuff in the museum, but also each of the other historical sites around Custer. So if anybody wants to, at this point, for the younger kids, we have about 30 questions we can ask, and the older kids, about 50. My guess is, based on the group that's put this together, those numbers will probably double by the time of the Constitution. They're a pretty aggressive group, but it will be age appropriate for the kids, though. So they're very, very sensitive to that. So that's, if anybody wants to do that, it would be wonderful. Love to see at the museum anytime anyway, but that'd be fun to bring the kids. We've gotten a lot of good encouragement from parents and kids this year. We've gone through a lot of stuff in the museum to try to make them more understandable, more better labeling on the exhibits, and more user-friendly. So that has been in the past, but there's always changes. That's how you keep a museum going, is you constantly moving things around and changing things somewhat. History is a history, but so that's that. So that's for Deborah. My proposal is for a time capsule. It's a separate item here. So I have no specific plans about this, but I want to encourage kids, particularly the little ones, the younger ones, like grade school, once again, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. They might do a kind of time capsule that would be, could be open in 5 years before they graduate, when they graduate from high school or something like that. And then also for older kids for longer term. You might have read in the Chronicle lately that After many years, they found the 1974 time capsule that was buried up for the courthouse. It had been sitting in the auditor's office for the last 16 years. Nobody knew what it was until Deborah identified and said, I think this is it. And then she brought the paperwork for it. And now it's in a case at the courthouse in Custer. So, but I'm really receptive to anybody who wants to do that. They can contact me about the time capsule. We can try to set this up. We could do this and sign up in conjunction with the Constitution Bee, or if that doesn't work out, it could be somewhere time this year. Kind of doing their 250th anniversary for country themes and the Constitution Bee. That's what's was kind of the initial motivation for that. But it doesn't have to be that way. It can be just in general. So if anybody wants to do that, I greatly appreciate any input and make it fun. That's a fun thing. I was a scout leader for a long, long time and in the inner city, and you don't make it fun. You guys are all here to do all kinds of business with the kids, and that's very important for their education and future thing. But when you stop making it fun, they glaze over, and then it's over. You're done. So it's got any questions? Anything we can do? Please feel to talk to me after. I'll give you contact information. I swear to secrecy that I would not show anybody the questions. So you got to encourage your kids ahead of time to study separately. But yeah, and make it fun. And we're also very receptive to anything else that you got going on. I started a Black Hills Museum Alliance 3 years ago. That was like pulling teeth at the beginning. To say, why would we want to do that? To encourage all the museums to get together in the Black Hills to share information, to see who's interested in what. That's changing too a lot. Just like you're talking about this AI, that's a huge change for us, not really for them. It's just what they're emerging into. But I grew up in an area where you go to a museum and you look at wicker furniture and kerosene lanterns and stuff like that. These kids are not that group anymore. I mean, so you got to make it different. The history is ongoing all the time, and so we are part of the history too, just as much as the ones in the past. So you want to make them know that they are also part of that moving history, and time capsules to do that. Staying on top of Constitution Bees or stuff that makes them encouraged to be better citizens will also be an important part of that development, I think, for them. So, any questions or concerns?
Question?
Yes. Questions?
Will you guys be doing some social media release on this? One of the concerns I have, principals, is that this is on September 18th.
It's a school
If you
day.
got a flyer or something, happy to
Yeah.
share that.
We can do that. I can have her send
It's
that
a
out to
school
me.
Yeah, that'd be
Get that
good.
out to everybody.
It's homecoming.
We have a social media director, who's Anthony, that's done a lot of stuff for us.
I don't think he knows that. I'm gonna tell him, because nobody, everybody's gonna be at homecoming. September 18th, it's a Friday.
We can make sure that gets out to each, try to get to like each principal or at each school. That kind of would be the best bet. That can be done. And the time capsule, like I said, I don't, unlike plan, she's very detailed, plan program already or at least established. The time capsule is pretty kind of open. One of the things that we want to be concerned about is what would we put it in, for instance? I was proposing possibly like, try to seal up, we used to do cooking in the ground, with the pots, the cast iron pots, the Dutch ovens. Something like, for a shorter term maybe especially. And nowadays you think, well, maybe Tupperware or something would work, but rodents can get into that, chew it open, and then you live a lot of those. But very receptive to all that stuff. I can try to put together a flyer that will go along with Thursday and Constitution and see if we can try to put something together. I don't think it's not too short a time frame as that, is it? We're trying to do that by the middle of September or end of September.
No, I think we can make it work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So be happy to come and talk to the kids about it, but you guys are,
Would love to have you come into our school for sure.
okay.
Yeah, just contact me.
It'd be fun, so,
I don't know, it's still on the calendar.
great.
Oh,
Sounds good.
Don't say anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was going to. I know. Look, it says that there, but here it says 2012. How weird.
Okay, we'll move on to
When is it, October what?
superintendent report.
Okay, Mike, this is my shortest report.
That freaks me out.
Talk about most of it. So I'm gonna fly through this, and I have, but I really want to just touch on a couple things. The YMCA, Custer School District with our preschool partnership, just give you a little bit of an update on that. I want to thank Frosty for working on this last week on the 1003 grant. and been working on the Title I grant. And right now, I think we're both very comfortable with about $20,000 that can go towards tuition reduction in both Hermosa and in Custer for our little ones. So we'll keep on working with that, and I'll let you guys know when that's been officially approved, and we'll have those conversations with the leadership at the YMCA as well. A little bit about the custodial funds. I just want to make sure that we all understand what those custodial funds is. That I think the concerns that have been brought forward are very good concerns to have, but one of the things that we talked about, the business office, myself, was that we just want to make sure that everybody is doing this the right way. You don't have to look very far in educational leadership magazines, and you're reading more and more about whether it be booster clubs or other types of custodial funds where the word fraud comes into play. And we want to make sure that we are giving our advisors guidelines, recommendations, requirements as we work through the custodial accounts. We also live in a community, and I'm talking about our entire county, that does a lot of fundraising. Would we agree with that? I mean, every time you turn a corner, there's fundraising going on. And I think that we have to be responsible on monitoring those accounts. And when accounts are continuing to grow and grow and grow, maybe that's not the year then that one group needs to do another fundraising. Maybe there's other groups in our school system, other groups in our community that maybe needed more than what we needed. So I think those are some of the things that when I meet with the advisors of the custodial accounts that we're going to be talking about, just like I talked about 5 years, 10 years down the line, I think we also need to be encouraging our folks that even with like trips, don't bring a trip in and let us know that you were going to go on it like in December. Let's plan these out, in advance, a couple of years, so we can raise the dollars that are going to be needed and do it appropriately. So that's a little bit about the custodial accounts. I also want to give mention to your guys' again participating in our Ed Camp. If you have ideas, please bring them forward. If you don't have ideas but you still want to come and participate, right, jump to session, you are welcome to do that, because I think that different perspectives, teachers with board members, with administrators, always leads to something that's going to be good as far as the result is concerned. So with that, do you have any questions of any of the information I've sent you today? Last week? Okay. I do want to lastly, one last thing. We cannot take for granted all the great people that work at helping us with our educational system. Working in this school system now on 1 year, I'm amazed, like with our Beef to School program. And I think to me, I think we got to do a better job of recognizing these folks that are part of that and making sure that we are promoting their product as well. Right? So that's one of the things that's going to be happening over the next few weeks. I'm going to be meeting with these producers and talking to them about what we can do to support them. We call it Beef to School here, but in a larger perspective, there's also the programs Farm to Schools that incorporates all of it. So that's one of the things that's going to happen. I also want to recognize Mary and Scott. They've donated, a big chunk, $10,000 to our CTE community housing, but they also, the money's great, but what I'm more appreciative of with those folks is that they're going to help set the table for me, right? To meet with others that I can get out there and spread the word about this program, because we can't do this program without the community's help. And when I talk about our community, I'm talking about the big community. Patrons, industry, and beyond that, to make this program also go forward. I also want to recognize Mary and Scott for their contribution to, oh my goodness, what's the name of our grant or scholarship, the Innovators Grant? Wildcat Innovators Grant, is that right, for scholarship? That's two $1,500 scholarships each year, so we're so appreciative of all that.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm good,
That's all?
that's it.
Move on to administrators report, we'll start with Mr. Cates.
I don't have a whole lot, but, good to be back and, looking forward to another good year here. Just kind of already starting to get the information on pre-ACT and ACT. And so start working on that, get those materials and, all the things you have to do to prep for that starts right away. And, so excited to get that information to the kids and then I'll work alongside with Ms. Mertz this year to, work with our teachers in the PLCs to use that pre-ACT information and the ACT information, so we can put our best foot forward with the teachers in the ACT. That's about it.
Any questions, board? Thank you. Toby?
Couple things, we had, as Sarah mentioned, $10,000 grant from Blackfield State staff for FAFSA in rural areas, so that's another person who will actually help our students to fill it out, so we're not trying to do it either ourselves or kind of an online type thing, and so it'll be kind of a nice thing for students for sure. Got some students and staff coming in, some new students, so that's really nice to see. Working on scheduling. It turns out we always have those that don't listen at the end of the year when they're supposed to turn in their schedules, and so they're kind of trickling in to see what might be left or available for them. Working on first day of practice for fall sports this week. Working on a couple different sports. Unfortunately, our soccer numbers are low again. I think we're almost after about third year now in a row. So we may have to kind of try to get in front of that here in the future and see kind of what direction, is best for our kids. We just don't have enough. It's tough not to get them injured when they're trying to play too much and you don't have subs and things like that. So we'll work on that. Competition cheer might be another one. We've got low numbers on that, really no one that wants to take the reins on that, and so we'll work on kind of growing, I think, our sideline cheer. Mr. Jory and I talked about that, and then we'll see in Mr. Frederick, Dr. Frederick as well. So we'll see kind of where we end up with cheer. Especially it's tougher with some of these sports and things or activities when student numbers are kind of going down and things like that as well. So we'll keep working in that direction. What else do I have? Got to put just some school happenings, field house and football field are looking good. Got some walkout right over there. Got our academic team awards started coming in. A lot of our students do have that 3.0 and above. Added a couple names to the ACT 30 and above board as well. Hopefully we keep doing that. Show up and paint the parking lot on the 23rd. 11 to 3, you're more than welcome to do that. We might give you your own spot out for it. Or we'll let you make one if you want. So lots of things going on. It's coming in. It's kind of an exciting time. And, it's always good to kind of get back into it and get there. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Any questions for Toby? Dr. Frederick?
I have my report, I'm just gonna touch on a couple things. We've had ESY pretty much throughout the summer, depending on, the students' needs. We're gonna be finishing that up next week. I'm working with Christy at the Y. She's going to be sending me some information on the reduced tuition packets that I can send home to our kids that are on IEPs. And then I'm also working with her on, just kind of a model for our kids and what that's gonna look like, for kids on IEPs. As far as I'm fully staffed, I have no staffing needs at this time. Like Sarah said, our IDA grant has been approved. With our Part B 611 funds, that's the 6 through 21 funds. That helps with some administrative costs and some therapy costs. And then our Part B 619 funds is to help with early childhood. I am starting something different this year. I always get the special ed comprehensive approved, and then I put it on my shelf and I don't look at it again until I have to do it again for approval. And so this year what I'm doing is I'm taking part of the comprehensive plan each month, and I'm gonna focus on some mentoring and some professional development with with the teachers and the paras. And so I'm going to be putting together a monthly professional newsletter based on that spotlight. So like in August, it's Faith, Free Inappropriate Public Education, and I built some activities around that. And so September's board meeting, you'll be able to see August's newsletter to them. Some upcoming trainings, we have some in Rapid City that I'm going to be sending a couple teachers to. We have a behavior interview, internal review training, and what that is how you incorporate the behavior in the IEP. You know, you have to have it written a specific way, so we're going to do some training on that. And then there's also a significant needs workshop in Rapid City that a couple teachers are going to with me. Another thing that's upcoming is we're going to this year have the Bettina track meet in October versus April, because that's Physical Therapy Appreciation Month, so we're already planning that. We are going to set it up a little different this year. We're going to do more on the criteria that, based on the Special Olympics criteria, because we're going to be inviting surrounding towns to also participate. So we're going to invite Hot Springs, Hill City, Edgemont, Elk Mountain, and I think that's it. And so we'll have a lot more kids, so we're going to make that criteria a little different. So that'll be in October. Okay.
Any questions? Thank you. Joey?
My newsletter had a lot of back to school kind of information and stuff in there. A couple of the things that I did not include that I want to talk to you about. The ELA materials have all arrived, and we're getting all those unpacked and looked at. Still working on getting some professional development scheduled with that and finalizing those plans. We also received a grant with Black Hills Reads Innovation Grant for $2,000. And that was primarily spearheaded by Jeannie Fisher and Doris Ann to work on some novel sets for some diverse learners, and some intervention type things. So we're pretty excited about that. And we had Kinder Camp this summer, July 20th to the 23rd, with 12 of our new Wildcats that came to Kinder Camp. And mostly Kinder Camp is kind of for those kids that are have a younger or a younger 5-year-old and have a summer birthday, and they're trying to decide if they want to do junior kindergarten or kindergarten, which is better for them and their family. And so that helps them kind of make that decision when they're closer to kindergarten age rather than in March when we do roundup. So anyway, it was a very successful week that those kiddos had. So.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions for Doug? Rossi?
Yeah, like Clay said, it's great to be back. A lot of teachers in the building, so I think I spent more time talking to them than I got work done, but it's great to see them excited to come back to work. So yeah, it was a great day today for sure. Lots of kids, seems like we have lots of kids coming back from homeschool. That's a big positive. Some kids that we're really happy to see walk back through the doors even today to register. So that's been great. And then some new kids from out of state that are coming in. So we're seeing pretty big influx. So a lot of fourth graders, like fourth grade and seventh grade. So kind of interesting. I was just kind of getting ready for the school year. The driver's ed thing was great. We have 22 kids. My wife took out an extra life insurance policy on me for some reason. Wish me luck with that. That starts Friday. But my own kid got through it and to survive when we went driving, so that's a good thing. Yeah, just ready to get rolling, so.
What did he say?
Thank you. Any questions?
That's great.
And Dr. Tim Frederick already gave us an update from Kevin, so we'll be through those. Move on to 11, next meeting is September 14th in Custer. And the motion to go in and out of the executive session for personnel. So that's the 201-25-2.
Make motion, go in and out of the executive session for personnel.
Sarah,
Calendars on our website. I sent an email to Jenny so we can get that. Isn't that crazy?
say aye.
It's one of the old
All opposed,
versions.
same sign.
It says at the top 25, 26, but on the calendar it says 26, 27.
guys.
And it's the one before we changed.
Oh, yeah, the home schools are also
Actually
Yeah.
start.
See, it says
And-
26, 27. And 18.
Know your phone.
Yeah, it was, I think it was the version that was before the version that was approved.
To really look at it.
Yeah,
Just to make sure,
yeah.
well, at least it's all good.
Okay, well.
So I'll get a hold of Sam, if you're willing to do it.
I will.
Okay.
I get,